Zara, a 30-year-old homemaker, resides with her husband Fizan and their young son in a peaceful neighborhood in Texas. Fizan, a 40-year-old businessman, is deeply engaged in expanding his logistics firm and often works late into the night. Over the years, their once vibrant marriage has grown dull and routine. Enter Ibrahim, Fizan's 70-year-old father, a retired professor who comes to live with them after experiencing a mild stroke. His presence brings a sense of quiet authority and wisdom into the household. Zara, who has increasingly felt isolated due to Fizan's absence and neglect, welcomes Ibrahim's company. One evening, as she serves tea, Ibrahim praises her for managing the household so efficiently. Fizan is lucky to have you, he says, smiling warmly. Zara feels a sense of validation she hasn't experienced in a long time. His words resonate with her, sparking a subtle yet profound change in their relationship. As time passes, Zara and Ibrahim begin spending more time together. She prepares his meals, assists with his daily exercises, and listens to his stories from a life that spanned continents. Ibrahim, with his sharp intellect and calm demeanor, becomes a comforting presence in her life. Unlike Fazan, who is often preoccupied, Ibrahim notices the little details, like the way Zara styles her hair or the care she takes in decorating the home. Their conversations grow more intimate as they discuss Zara's dreams of pursuing a creative hobby and Ibrahim's reflections on life and legacy. Ibrahim's laughter is a refreshing contrast to the silence Zara endures in her marriage. One afternoon, while tending to the garden, Ibrahim brushes a stray leaf off Zara's shoulder. The gesture is brief but electric, stirring something within her, a feeling she doesn't dare to name. Zara begins to notice subtle changes in their interactions. Ibrahim lingers at the dining table longer than necessary, waiting for moments when they are alone. Zara, in turn, finds herself dressing more carefully, ensuring she looks her best even on ordinary days. There's a new warmth in their exchanges, a fleeting touch when passing a dish, a shared smile over a private joke. Fizan, oblivious to the growing connection, dismisses Zara's newfound cheerfulness as simply relief from having extra help around the house. But Zara knows it's more than that. Ibrahim's attentiveness fills a void she never realized was so deep. One evening, as they sit on the porch watching the sunset, Ibrahim softly says, "You bring life into this house." Zara feels her heart flutter but quickly changes the subject, afraid to acknowledge the emotions building within her. One evening, with Fizan working late, Zara and Ibrahim find themselves alone in the living room. They talk about Ibrahim's younger years, his academic achievements, his travels, and the love he shared with his late wife. Zara listens attentively, captivated by his stories and the depth of his experiences. As the night progresses, the conversation turns more personal. Ibrahim admits he never expected to find companionship in his later years. Zara, feeling emboldened, shares her own struggles, the loneliness she feels despite being surrounded by family. Their shared vulnerability creates a bond neither can ignore. When Ibrahim reaches out to place a reassuring hand on hers, neither of them pulls away. They sit in silence, the weight of their unspoken feelings hanging between them. For the first time, Zara wonders if the connection they share is something much deeper than mere companionship. The turning point comes on a stormy evening when the family's plans are disrupted by heavy rain. With Fazan away, Ibrahim and Zara are left to weather the storm together. As they sit by the fireplace, sipping tea, Ibrahim compliments Zara on her resilience and kindness. "You're remarkable, Zara," he says, his voice thick with emotion. Moved by his sincerity, Zara impulsively hugs him. The embrace is meant as a gesture of gratitude, but as they pull away, their faces linger just a moment too long. Zara feels an undeniable magnetic pull, one that defies logic or propriety. She quickly stands, brushing off the moment as a lapse in judgment, but the boundary has been crossed. In the days following the storm, Zara and Ibrahim both wrestle with what transpired. Neither speaks of the moment they shared, but the tension between them is palpable. Zara was torn between exhilaration and guilt, her emotions a storm she didn't know how to weather. Ibrahim faced his own turmoil, questioning the morality of his feelings, but unable to ignore the spark ignited every time Zara was near. Their encounters became charged with tension, a silent electricity that flared when their hands brushed while passing plates at dinner, lingering just a fraction too long. Ibrahim's compliments grew more personal, his words dipping into intimacy as he told Zara how her laughter lit up the home or how her presence brought meaning back into his life. Zara, feeling seen in a way she hadn't for years, found herself yearning for these moments, even as part of her warned of the risks they carried. One afternoon, as Ibrahim sat in the garden, Zara brought him tea. Setting the tray down, she felt his hand gently take hers. He looked into her eyes and began, "Zara," but she quickly withdrew, retreating inside with a heart racing from both longing and fear. That night, sleep eluded her as the intensity of his gaze and the betrayal she felt haunted her. Yet, despite the turmoil, she found herself drawn to him even more. Their connection deepened in quiet, shared moments, tending the garden side by side or exchanging glances across the dinner table. Faizan, consumed by his demanding work, remained oblivious, his absence providing Zara and Ibrahim space to explore their growing bond. One evening, Zara found Ibrahim in the study, sorting through old photographs. He invited her to join him, and as they sifted through memories of his past, he shared stories of his late wife. A pang of jealousy hit Zara, shocking her. She tried to excuse herself, but Ibrahim stopped her, his voice trembling with emotion. "You've brought something back into my life, Zara, something I thought was lost forever." Zara's defenses crumbled. Tears welled as she confessed her own loneliness and the emptiness she felt in her marriage. Ibrahim pulled her into a gentle embrace, and for the first time, they acknowledged the depth of their connection. "This isn't right," Zara whispered, but neither let go. The following night, with Faizan away on a business trip, Zara and Ibrahim shared dinner, their interactions brimming with unspoken tension. Afterward, they sat on the couch, ostensibly watching a movie, though neither paid attention. When the credits rolled, Ibrahim turned to her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "You deserve to be happy, Zara," he murmured. Her heartbeat quickened as their eyes met, and when Ibrahim leaned in, she didn't pull away. Their first kiss was hesitant, but it carried years of suppressed desires and longing. When it ended, they sat in silence, the gravity of their actions pressing down on them. "We can't do this," Zara said, her voice lacking conviction. Ibrahim nodded, though the way his hand lingered on hers told her their conflict was mutual. In the days that followed, they fell into a precarious rhythm. Stolen moments became more frequent, each more intimate than the last. They took great care to keep their relationship a secret, planning their interactions with precision to avoid raising suspicion. For Zara, every touch and whispered word felt like a rebellion against the emptiness that had consumed her life for so long. For Ibrahim, it was a renewal, a reminder of his vitality. Yet, as their bond deepened, it became harder to maintain the facade. Faizan began to notice Zara's distraction, her mind often elsewhere, and he started to question her with growing suspicion. She dismisses it as mere stress from managing the household, but guilt starts gnawing at Zara. She begins to question how long they can sustain their secret. The affair intensifies, but so do the dangers. One evening, while Zara and Ibrahim share a quiet moment in the kitchen, they hear Faizan's car pulling into the driveway earlier than expected. They hurriedly separate, but Zara's flushed cheeks and Ibrahim's sudden silence nearly betray them. Though Faizan grows suspicious, he brushes it off as coincidence and continues with his evening. Zara becomes increasingly paranoid, terrified that Faizan might uncover the truth. She starts avoiding Ibrahim during the day, but the distance only deepens their yearning for each other. Ibrahim assures her that they will be cautious, but Zara feels their secret is a ticking time bomb. Their relationship grows increasingly complicated, passionately undeniable, yet weighed down by guilt and the fear of exposure. Haunted by the betrayal of her husband, Faizan, who remains oblivious to her growing emotional detachment, Zara begins to lose sleep. Ibrahim notices her struggles and tries to comfort her, but even his reassurances fail to quell her anxiety. Their stolen moments together become rushed and tinged with desperation. Zara starts questioning the morality of their actions, yet feels trapped. Ibrahim is the only person who truly sees her, beyond her roles as a wife and mother. Their bond feels too profound to sever, but the risk grows clearer with each passing day. One evening, Faizan comes home earlier than expected and finds Zara in the garden with Ibrahim. Their laughter drifts in the breeze, and though nothing overtly inappropriate occurs, Faizan senses a strange tension between them. He says nothing but lingers, his gaze unsettling both Zara and Ibrahim. This close call pushes Zara to confront Ibrahim late one night. After Faizan and their son have gone to bed, she sneaks into Ibrahim's room. "We have to stop this," she pleads, tears streaming down her face. "We're destroying everything." Ibrahim, torn but unwilling to let her go, responds, "You're the only thing that makes me feel alive." Their argument shifts into a deeply emotional conversation about their lives, regrets, and the emptiness they've endured. By the end of the night, Zara finds herself in his arms again, their resolve to end things crumbling under the weight of their emotions. They know they are walking a dangerous path, but their connection feels impossible to sever. As their affair deepens, their carelessness begins to show. One morning, Faizan finds a scarf draped over a chair in Ibrahim's room, a scarf Zara had been wearing the night before. When he confronts her, Zara stumbles, claiming she left it there while helping Ibrahim with his medication. Though Faizan seems to accept the excuse, his suspicions grow. Panicking, Zara urges Ibrahim to be more careful, but her growing paranoia takes its toll. She becomes anxious and withdrawn, her behavior raising more questions in Faizan's mind. Quietly, he begins to observe her interactions with his father. Faizan's doubts reach a breaking point when, late one night, he hears Zara laughing softly in the kitchen. Entering the room, he sees her and Ibrahim standing unusually close. Though they step apart quickly, their body language cements his suspicions. Faizan doesn't confront them immediately, but decides to investigate further, carefully watching their every move. Zara remained oblivious to how intently Fawn was observing her actions. She continued meeting Ibrahim in secrecy, their relationship growing more passionate but equally perilous. The turning point came one quiet afternoon when Fawn unexpectedly returned home early without informing Zara. As he entered the house, muffled voices from Ibrahim's room caught his attention. Opening the door, he found Zara and Ibrahim sitting uncomfortably close, their hands clasped together. The room fell into a tense silence as all three recognized the gravity of the situation. Fawn's face contorted with anger as he demanded an explanation. Zara, overwhelmed with guilt, broke into tears, unable to speak, while Ibrahim stammered, his voice quivering. "It's not what it seems," he started, but Fawn interrupted him, his voice trembling with fury. This confrontation fractured the family. Unable to bear the betrayal, Fawn stormed out in a rage. Despite Zara's desperate attempts to contact him, he ignored her calls. Consumed with shame, Ibrahim decided to leave, packing his belongings. "I've caused enough harm," he said, his voice heavy with regret. Left alone, Zara was overwhelmed with guilt and sorrow, realizing she had shattered her marriage and broken the trust that once bound her family together. Days later, Fawn returned briefly, only to collect his belongings. He told Zara he couldn't face her without remembering her betrayal. With Ibrahim gone and Fawn moving out, Zara was left to rebuild her life. The house became a silent, oppressive reminder of her losses. She tried to focus on her son, but even he noticed the change, asking why his father no longer came home. Zara reached out to Fawn again, but he remained distant, his anger turning into cold indifference. Reconciliation seemed impossible. Meanwhile, Ibrahim sent Zara a letter expressing his profound remorse and apologizing for the pain he had caused. His words, though heartfelt, deepened Zara's feelings of loss. As months went by, she began reconstructing her life, dedicating herself to her son and reflecting on the choices that led to the affair. She realized her loneliness and longing for connection had clouded her judgment. Seeking counseling, Zara worked to find clarity and a way to move forward. Although she doubted she could mend her relationship with Fawn, she resolved to become a better person for herself and her child. One day, Zara received the devastating news that Ibrahim had passed away after a sudden illness. Overcome with grief and guilt, she attended his funeral, where she spotted Fawn. However, he avoided her gaze, the chasm between them now insurmountable. After the service, Zara discovered a letter Ibrahim had left for her. In it, he apologized again and expressed gratitude for the joy she had brought to his final years, despite the pain they had caused. His words gave Zara a bittersweet sense of closure. Years later, Zara lived a quiet life devoted to raising her son and finding meaning in small joys. Though the scars of the past lingered, she learned to forgive herself and accept her choices. Occasionally, she visited Ibrahim's grave, leaving flowers and reflecting on their complex, turbulent love. While she and Fawn never reconciled, they maintained a cordial relationship for the sake of their son. In her solitude, Zara discovered inner strength and redemption, vowing never to let loneliness guide her down a destructive path again.